So here's what I've been doing. These are my tools that I brought with me from Maine. These I haven't done anything with yet, and you can tell they're kind of rusty. They were all underwater, and these here, were all underwater. And all of my big sockets, I cleaned them all up, and my ratchets and my bigger ratchets and stuff. And that's what I'm doing. I just got me a greasy rag. I'm going through pulling these things all out and wiping them off. I'll sit y'all over here. That way I can talk to you while I'm doing this. These tools were, what do you call it? Used hard and put away wet already, because I've, been using them up yonder. These are probably what's left of my best tools right here. But they're the ones that was in that big gray Craftsman toolbox. I'm going to wash that box out and use it for something else. I've also moved the one that Big Daddy gave me over into the other garage over there. I got kind of a special idea for how I'm going to use those. But I'm taking this great big toolbox that Josh helped me go pick up and taking all my tools out and looking them over and putting them back. I thought most of these were Craftsman, but I think I got a collection of this and that and the other in here. So they're kind of what was left over from my old Craftsman's and as well as a bunch of other odd and end things. I'd like to get me some good snap-on tools. I've about been convinced by Jerry that that's the best way to go. And he might have some, I don't know. He's kind of retired from his mechanicing job and talked about he might be willing to get rid of some of his stuff. So we'll see how that develops as time goes along. I haven't had a chance to hang out with him much yet because he's had a bad cold or something. So, but that's what I'm doing today. It's not that, I don't know if it's all that video worthy or not, but it is to me. I find a great deal of satisfaction to be cleaning up my tools, getting them ready for whatever comes next. Y'all know I've got an engine over there to be put together, and I've got an engine in the back of the Dodge truck. It got soaked and literally submerged. It's a dismantled engine, but as soon as I get it, I'm pull it out and oil it down and lubricate everything and make sure everything's not rusty. And I do want to build that motor too. That's another project. See, things like this little wangling, watch it here. That's a technical name for that. Not everybody uses the technical names. People gotten sloppy nowadays. They just call them any old thing, like a swivel joint or something like that. But they're actually, the actual name is wingly woggly wangly thing here. So my wingly woggly wangly thing is stiff, but if oil sits on it a little longer, I might be able to wiggle it around and get some usage out of it. That's for driving bolts around corners. All these ones here, all these deep well sockets here, I give them all a little rub down too. They're all in need of some assistance here. Oh, the joy. Anyway, I just thought I'd say hi. I got a few videos in the tube that I can put up and will later on. But I just thought for now, I'll just let y'all come out here and hang with me a little bit while I do this. Oh, the joy. This is good work. I mean, I don't mind it. I don't mind it a bit. It's hard to have a short attention span and do this because part of me wants to run out back and do some other things. I got a lot of other things and I'm excited about being able to do, but I need to keep my focus in line. I'd like to get the tools I've got cleaned up. I'm pretty sure as I go along, I know Todd had a whole truckload full of toolboxes, and I'm pretty sure he's got a whole bunch of tools in those toolboxes that needs to kind of be recovered and put into a safe place where they can be used. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing here. using this brand big old new toolbox to store, and I can get a lot of tools in this. I got this right here is like 4 different drawers from that small box, all in one drawer. So I can get a lot in here. It's good. That's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing right there. Yes, it is. So we drove the Rambler to a car show yesterday. I took it out again today and ran over to a friend's house. I've been using it a little bit as a daily driver. I dropped my little Japanese car off at the shop there because the air roll conditioner didn't seem to be cooling very much all of a sudden. So I asked them if they'd ever worked on a little Japanese car, and they said, well, yeah, sort of. And I said, well, you want to mess around with mine, or you want me to take it over to the Toyota dealership? And they said, I'll bring it in. So we'll see how they do. You know, it's always nice to have a mechanic that ain't working at a dealership, because people in dealerships sometimes ain't real mechanics. They're just high school kids that can get a job there and learn on the job, which is nothing wrong with that. We all got to start somewhere. But the prices they charge you at a dealership are really sometimes a little bit out of line. I'll just say that. Maybe I won't get in too much trouble for saying that, but I will just say that. Sometimes there might be more than you want to pay. I'll just put it that way. Not that they're out of line, it just might be more than you want to pay. Of course, nowadays, you know, the way they make cars, everything's electrified and computerized, and you have to have a $150,000 gadget to be able to diagnostically diagnose your thing. Josh was in the store the other day, and he bought a little diagnoser thing and hooked it to his truck and found out something about it and reset something and did something. That's all above my head. I'm old school. We had points and plugs, you know. We set the points and the plugs and shock ourselves on the plug wires to make sure we had fire and things like that, you know, which is different than what they're doing nowadays. Nowadays they got engine parts that are talking to each other, and you know, they got all these trucks sitting around somewhere in a big lot because they ain't got no computer chips. And I went to the car show with a couple of fellers from church the other day, and I was telling them about how when I was a kid, they used to talk about how the Russians one of these days was going to fly over in an aeroplane and set off a nuclear weapon way up in the atmosphere, and it would dissolve all of the electronic ignition systems out of these new cars. Of course, that was back in the 70s. There wasn't that much electronic stuff in there, but there was some. So what I did is I always hung on to a regular old Chevy distributor with points and a condenser and all that, in case the Russians ever did come over and electrocute all of our electronics. I could put the points in the condenser and the coil and all that in the Chevy motor, and we could ride around like, you know, those guys in what's that movie, Mad Max. We could all be like Mad Max. We'd all have cars to ride around in while everybody else's cars were dead because they'd been killed by the Russians' nuclear weapon, you know. So that's how I learned. I learned to be prepared that way. Never did have to use that Chevy distributor, but I made sure to bring it with me because you just never know. Them sneaky rascals over there, any day now, they could be setting off a big nuclear bomb that's going to kill all our electronically ignited vehicles. And I told my buddies, I said, you know, when that happens, y'all come on over to the house, we'll go for a ride, wave at everybody who ain't got wheels, because we will have them and they won't. They got a kick out of that. They thought that was interesting. Interesting little factoid from the past. You know, the tools here, pieces you got to toss out. And some other things I can wash up. Get this all cleaned up here. Clean up the little boxes that they're in. Oh, the joy. So what kind of day y'all having today? Is everything going all right for you? I've been a little bit excited about a boat. I bought a little boat the other day, and I got to looking at it a little bit more when I went to move it down yonder out of sight. And well, I really liked what I was seeing. I want to get it out and clean it up and wash it up and look at it and talk about it and all that. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I still got more tools coming. If I do this now and I don't do that, then I can be ready. I can be ready later to do all those other things I want to do. So I'm staying right on to task, not letting my mind wander and not chasing squirrels around in the yard, anything like that. I got a guy supposed to bring me some gravel here pretty soon. I'm gonna put some gravel down in front of my shed back there and make me a little driveway so that when I get my rat rod home, I can drive it right in that shed. That'll be good. That'll be good and that'll be fun. And then Honey Baby's got some ideas about some landscaping work she wants me to do. All that. I was joking with my buddy Butch the other day. He's got a tractor and everybody in the neighborhood borrows it. And I said, you know, I thought about buying me one, but I was thinking if I did, I'd never know where it was at because somebody would have it in the neighborhood doing stuff with it. I wouldn't know where it was. It's kind of a joke because his is always at somebody's house. And when it breaks down, I say, so did you break it or did somebody else break it? I kind of rib him a little bit about my tractor, but he's not sensitive. He don't mind. He don't mind. He can kind of take a joke. Ooh, the joy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would cut the camera off, except my fingers now are all greasy-fied. If I touch the camera in the right place, I could make a mess out of it. So maybe I'll just leave this like this for the moment. Come back to that later. Okay, I'll clean up one finger so I can turn y'all off. Love you. Hope you're having a good day. If you ain't, get over it.